This conference will now be recorded.
I believe you all can see the screen and hear me very clearly. So let's begin, and I'm also requesting everyone from tomorrow onwards, please be sharp on time, okay, on 7 a.m. Wednesday, because some of them are joining on time and we are we are waiting for the people who have to 8 join, right? Let us respect everyone's time. So please, everyone, join the class on time sharp 7 a.m. IST, okay? Maybe we can discuss something like before we proceed, okay? So let's get started. Yesterday we have learned many things in Git, right? Have you completed your hands-on? Gone through the hands-on, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Particularly who are new to these topics. If you already know Git, okay, if you're already using it from a couple of years, that's fine. But whoever using it for the first time, have you all completed the hands-on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yes.
right.
Hello.
Okay. That's good to know.
Hello.
Please keep up the same pace and keep doing the hands-on every day. And yeah, let's begin today. And today I'm going to create a WhatsApp group. If you are stuck up anywhere during your hands-on, from today onwards, you can post it in the group. Okay? So let's start today. Not able to hear. Please check once from your end. Please check. Everyone is hearing me. Whoever cannot hear me, please rejoin. Rejoining will set the issues. Once rejoin again, checking your audio part. Whoever cannot hear me, please check your audio part. Okay. Yesterday we have made some changes, right? Like we have done some changes, we have made some modifications and so on. Let us check the log of the commits we have done. So yeah, see, you should be running the Git commands only in the Git repository. This might be again a general thing you might be doing for if you are new. So you should be running any Git commands in a Git local repository only. See, I'm not in a Git local repository. So it was showing not a repository. So go to this path, copy the address, come to Git bash, cd, put the address there, go to the directory, right? So now we are into this git demo directory. You can see here. Okay, we are just using from command line, that's all. So it was showing on git demo on the master, and now let's look into the log, git log one line. Okay, you can see the bunch of commits we have done yesterday. Also check the git status. It was all good. It was all clean. Means whatever changes we have, all of them were added and committed into the local repository. Perfect. So now let us look into a few more scenarios. Like see, till now we have seen creating the files, we have seen modifying the files, right? Today let us talk about deleting the files. Okay. Why some of you can't hear me? Please check your audio part. Akhila, can you hear me now? Check your audio part, check your speakers, audio settings you have chosen. Whoever can't hear me, please rejoin. Check your audio settings, please. Okay. So let us see deleting the files. In the Git demo, have this new folder? 1 minute. Okay, somehow I just created this yesterday, right? I'm just deleting it. Okay, fine. Now let us talk about deleting the file. Suppose I want to delete this file 3. Okay, so how do you delete it? Git rm file 3. So this will delete the files both from working directory and local repository. Let's see what happens. See, the file is removed. Now if you do ls, there is no more file3. Can you see that? There is no file3.txt. And okay, file is deleted from working directory. Also check the local repository. See, it was deleted from local repository as well. Means git rm file name will delete the particular file both from working directory and local repository. Also, at this point, if you check the status, sorry, git. Okay, so it says changes to be committed. So understand here one thing, like git works with respect to changes. It could be creating the file, it could be modifying the file, it could be deleting a file. Whenever you delete a file, right, like means you made some modifications, you need to modify, means you need to commit the changes. Means whatever you did here, git rm file3, this change is happened or this change is applied to your staging area. So your file is removed from the staging area and the working directory. So commit the changes. Like we commit the same commit message we have learned yesterday. Git commit -m. Also, let me show you at the back end. See, file3 is gone. Right? You can also check from the GUI. So git commit -m, file3 deleted. Okay, so that's one way to delete the files from your local repository and the working directory. So I still have 2 files and all the changes were added and committed, right? So now let us look into another scenario, another use case. Here the use case is, let's suppose here I am having a bunch of files, file 1, file 2. File 2, I don't want to keep it in a local repository, but I want to still keep it in my working directory. Means I want to just keep it in this particular, in the same directory called git demo, but I don't want to place it in local repository. Maybe this file 2 might be some documentation, okay, that need not be placed in a local repository. So if you want to delete the file only from local repository, but not from working directory, how do you do that? Yeah, let's see. Git rm cache the file name, file2.txt. What this will do, it will delete the file from local repository because let's imagine this file 2 is some documentation to the project. Okay, the notes which I have taken, I want to keep it in the same project directory, but I don't want to place it in the local repository. So in that case, git rm cache, and if you do ls, yes, in the working directory your file is still there. Can you see that at the back end also from the UI, GUI, you can see it. Here also from the command line, you can see that. And yeah, but if you check the repository, see, there is no file 2, right? So this will delete the file only from local repository. And again, if you check the status now, yes. See this, changes to be committed. Like I said, the changes are applicable to staging area. Now, git commit -m, some message deleted from local repository, right? So done. Now you can check here, file is still there in the working directory, but it is not there in the staging area and local repository. And all the changes we have done were added and committed. Got it, all of you? So this is how you
show file to be added.
come again.
File 2 we just deleted it from git local repository, right? It is showing red, so why it is asking to add it again? File 2.
Where is it adding? Oh, this one, I'll tell you. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
why is it showing here? You have to tell me. We have learned this concept already. Are you there in yesterday's class? I know who is this.
Surya, I yesterday missed.
Okay. So yesterday we have learned this part. See, you have file 2 in local, the working directory, but we have deleted it from local repository. Why? we seeing this message? Anyone who have attended yesterday's class, we have discussed this. Why are we seeing this message? What is this message?
Because the file is available only in the working directory, which is not yet staged or not yet moved to local directory, which so is showing untracked.
Exactly. Means it's again like a new file, right? We have removed it from the staging area local repository. It's like a new file. Yesterday, when we create a new file, how was it showing? It was showing like an untracked file. So now because we deleted this from working directory and staging area and local repository, it is again considering that as a new file. It is untracked by Git, right? Means Git knows there is a file, but Git cannot track it. So if you want to Git to track this, what you should do? You should do this. Got it now? Right?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Then what is the use of that cache command that we just removed from the Git local repository, but not from working directory? So where that command like will help us?
That's what. If this file is an important file, you need it. Maybe let's say that's a document. That's a documentation for the project. That's a use case I have explained. Let's suppose this is completely like a README, or else let's say I have taken some notes for my project. That's a notes which I have taken. So I want to keep it in the same directory, same project directory, but I don't want to place it in local repository. Okay. So in that case, what I'll do, I just want it in the same folder, but I don't want to place it in local repository. So I did git rm cache. Okay. And the scenario is not yet completed. See here. Okay, I don't want this file to be in local repository, so I have removed it. It is in the working directory. Okay, but Git will keep on telling me this because see, this particular Git demo directory, this particular one, which is a Git demo, this is, so this folder is a Git demo. Okay, this is a local repository. We made Git in it. .git is there in this. Means it's a local repository. Means Git will be tracking all the files and folders present under Git demo. So Git will be keep on tracking this file. Right? Even though you deleted it from local repository, because it is there in that folder, because it's there in the working directory, Git will keep on tracking every files in this directory. So it will be always asking me to add and commit. But like I said, it's some documentation, or else it's some executable, or else it's a log file generator, or else it is some report. These are all the different scenarios. You may have some files which you don't want Git to version control. I'm repeating, it's my local repository. In this directory, I want to keep my some readme, or else let's say some project documentation which I have taken, or else some exe files, or else some log files may be there in the project directory. I don't want Git to track them. They should be there in the directory, but Git should not be tracking them and always keep on bothering about adding and committing. I don't want Git to do that. Means by default, Git will track any file present in this directory because it's a local repository. But I want to tell Git, exclude certain files from tracking. Please don't track this file. How can we do that? Because see, I deleted from local repository, but still it is tracking it. I don't want always this message. I don't want Git to track this file. How can we achieve it?
Yeah, we can add in git ignore.
Yeah, that's where git ignore comes into picture. Okay, git ignore is a file where which will take care of excluding certain files from getting tracked by Git. So create some file here called .gitignore. It's a hidden file .gitignore. Okay, so let us create this file. Here, put the file names whichever you don't want Git to track. I don't want Git to track file2.txt. Suppose if you have too many files with the extension .log which you don't want Git to track. Star means any or all the files with the extension .log can be excluded from tracking. So here you can use some wild characters, put the file name. For now only file2. So let us save this. once you save this, check the status. See, it was no more bothered about file2. Do you see that? See, a new file is created and it's no more bothered about file2 anymore. File2 is still there, but Git will not be tracking it, right? Git is not bothered about the file anymore. Okay, if you check the hidden files, you have .git ignore. But .git ignore is also a file. After all, it is another file. So you have to add this and commit this like any other files. So git and git ignore and git commit -m, let's say created ignore file, some message, some commit message. So done. Now if you check the status, git status, okay, so it was clean. You don't have, I mean, you have file2, but still it will not be tracked by Git. You have file2 in working directory, but you don't have in local repository, but still Git is not tracking. Got it, all of you? Understood the scenario, everyone? Right? So this way you can exclude certain files from getting tracked by Git. So which files? Like I said, some log files, executable files, or some documentation, you want to keep it in the same directory, but I don't want Git to track it. And the real use case for this in our, with respect to our DevOps is, where do we use this .git ignore as a DevOps person? Like we discussed, as a DevOps person, we'll be working on Terraform projects, Kubernetes, and so on. In Terraform project particularly, you can ignore certain Terraform system generated files or else Terraform state files. These can be ignored from version control. So we'll create a .ignore file, put this TF state file and other Terraform config files. Similarly in Ansible where you store your password, Ansible secrets or Kubernetes secrets, those can be added to git ignore. Means those are where you have some passwords in encrypted format or else some useful information or credentials and all. So I don't want Git to track it and I don't want to share it on remote repository with others. So you may just put them in .git ignore.
So ma'am, here we don't push that git ignore to a remote repo, right? We just keep it in stage area in committed, and there it will.
Git ignore will be pushed to remote. We didn't go to remote it. Okay, remote we didn't go to remote it. Even to remote, when you're pushing git ignore will be pushed to remote also. What happens when you push git ignore? You may have some TF state files, Ansible credential files and all. Those will not be pushed to remote. Git will not track them even though they are in the local directory or working directory. Okay.
Yeah. And ma'am, by mistake, if I delete .git file, then what will happen? Suppose so, will my alt history will be like gone?
If you delete .git ignore, again your file2 will be getting tracked. I'll show you that also.
No,
okay?
no, not git ignore. .git file we have in our working directory. .git.
.git. Okay, .git if you delete means it's no more a local repository. It will not again version control. It becomes just a normal directory in your file system.
So my previous history is gone, right? If that file get deleted.
Everything is gone. Your local repository, it's no more a Git local repository at all. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So that's about a .git ignore and excluding certain files from tracking and deleting the files in different ways. So see here, RM will delete the file. Where is this RM? Yeah. RM will delete the file both from working directory and local repository. Whereas git RM cache will delete only from local repository but not from your working directory. And then if you want, if you don't want git to track certain files, if you want git to exclude certain files from tracking, you can achieve that by using a .git ignore file. In real practice, from the perspective of DevOps, you might be using them for state files or TF backup files, kind of there will be there in Terraform projects or in Ansible projects, the secrets all those you don't want to push onto remote repository and share it with others. Those can be ignored through this file. We'll look into that also once we go to those Terraform and Ansible projects. So that's about Git ignore. Now let us take up another interesting scenario. Okay, changes were all there. Now you have a bunch of files here and a bunch of commits, right? So now let's suppose you want to undo any particular commit. What is meant by undo? What is the dictionary meaning for undo? What is meant by undo?
Recall.
Sorry?
Going back to previous state.
Yeah,
Recall.
undo means general dictionary meaning we use in our daily life. Undo means reversing the things, right? Means suppose you have created a file. You undo means file will be deleted, right? And if you delete a file, if you undo means file will be back. Correct? Means the reverse happens, right? Similarly, we have done a bunch of changes. We have done a bunch of commits, right? Like these are the bunch of commit IDs we have. Now, if you want to undo any particular commit, yes, you can do that. You can do that, and there is something called revert command. Revert will do that. How do you do that? Git revert the particular commit ID. Okay, CID means commit ID. So you git revert any particular commit ID, that particular commit will be reverted. And listen here carefully. What happens is whenever you revert, means whenever you run this command, revert command also works like a commit command. Even revert command also will generate a new commit ID. Okay, again if you want to revert this particular change, you can do git revert this new commit ID. Means reverting the revert again, means your changes will be back. Let me simplify this for you. Suppose I have a commit ID A, means some alphanumeric ID, I cannot write all of them, so I'm just referring it as A. Okay, I will revert this. Okay, fine, I have reverted this. I got new commit ID B. I am reverting this again. So commit ID, new commit ID will be generated again C, but this C will be same as the state A. Correct or not? Take an example. Okay, this commit is about deleting a file. I have reverted it, means it is created. Again reverting it. The file will be again deleted and you achieve the previous state. Right? You can revert the reverts, means because every revert has its own commit ID, I can revert it. Got this, all of you? Understood this? Yeah, this is some commit ID. I have run here git revert A. Okay, commit ID A. So B is generated. Now here what I'll do, git revert B. Another commit ID C is generated. But here what is the state of the repository? The previous state. Should I repeat this or understood this one? We shall do demonstration on this. Can I go on?
Yes.
Let's see this. So git revert I'm reverting this. Okay, git revert some commit ID. And if you see this here, ignore file is created. So when I revert this, let's see. See, it will ask for some revert message, like commit message. Okay, you can just give here some revert message, like removing. Okay, that's what happens when you revert. And save this. Okay, now revert happened. Just check the log. Like I said, revert will generate a new commit ID with your message. And what should happen now? See, your file 2 is stacked again. Understood what happened? Check the hidden files. You don't have .git ignore anymore because .git ignore is not there. File 2 is getting tagged again. Interesting, isn't it? So if you delete the .git ignore, yes, your file will be again Means whatever files are there, files are referred in .gitignore, all of them will be tracked again. Right? Suppose I want .gitignore again. What is the command I should run now? Means I want to revert this revert. What is the command? I want .gitignore back. What should I do? Can anyone try?
Again,
Is
git
it
revert,
again
the
git
new
revert?
git ID,
Git revert,
Okay, git
the new,
revert, which
the
ID?
new CID, the new CID.
new commit ID.
Yeah, this one, the new committed, this
Commit
one,
ID.
right? Correct. So, okay, some revert message. Reverting again, something like this. Now, okay, done. Let me clear the screen. Git log one line. Okay, you can see here the topmost commit ID, another new one is generated, and git status. See, file 2 is no more tracked. File 2 is there, but still it's not tracked because the .gitignore is back. Right? So that is how you can revert to undo any particular changes. See, sometimes in a particular commit, there might be so many files you might have worked on. All those will be reverted. Means basic thing is whatever changes happened in those particular, in the particular commit, everything will be undo. Means it will be reversed. That's what revert does. And revert is a very safe method to undo your changes. Because if you take up the projects, particularly let's suppose development projects, okay, where developers are working on, sometimes they might have written some code which may not be working, or else the new code they have written might be giving some impact on the existing code. So they just want to revert the changes. So this is how they can do the revert, right? They can undo their changes this way. Right? This is safe method to revert, because when you revert also later on, if you want, you can get it again. Right? This is a safe method and general practice to undo any changes. Okay. And as of now, the repository is clean. And yes, I have some files in the working directory which are not being tracked. That's perfectly fine. Now let us look into another interesting scenario. See here. See, I'm seeing a bunch of changes here, right? Like bunch of commits, commit history, and a lot many commits. Suppose, let's say, from the perspective of developers, let's suppose they are making modifications and they realize that they don't want to have this bunch of 6 commit IDs. Means, see, always this is the latest or the last commit ID. And you will be seeing here something like head. Head is nothing but a pointer in Git. Pointer means which will point to the latest or the topmost commit in the current branch. Branching concept we didn't start it, we'll talk about it. Just understand, head is a pointer or else a marker kind of in a Git, which will always point to the topmost or the latest or the last, whatever you call it. So the last or the latest commit in the branch. Okay. So fine, now head is here. Let's suppose I'm a developer or a DevOps person. I have made some changes, some configuration files in my Ansible project. I just don't want the changes, all the 6 changes. Means I want to get rid of 6 consecutive changes, 6 consecutive commit IDs. How do I do that? That's where another interesting, another important and an advanced concept called reset comes into picture. Reset is called as a destructive command because this should be used very carefully. It's not a command which you generally means which you use in your daily life, okay, which you use just in your daily life regularly. No, this is a very rarely used command, should be used very carefully. Once you like once you undo your changes using reset, means once you delete the changes using reset, changes gone or gone forever. And this reset can undo successive commits only, not any random commit. If you take revert, see, analyze the differences. Both does the same, like for undoing the changes, but reset is for successive or consecutive commit IDs, like a bunch of topmost 6 commits, or else top 5 commits, or top 4 if you don't want, if you want to get rid of, you can do reset. Whereas revert is any random commit ID can be reverted. And also, if you revert, every revert will generate a new commit ID, but reset will not. Because it generates a commit ID, I can revert that again. But that's not possible with reset again, right? So that's why it's a very dangerous, powerful command. You should be using it very rarely if you're very sure I don't want it. Means, see, when you revert them, what happens, all the changes, whatever happened in this successive 6 commits will be gone. Also, these commit IDs will be wiped off from the log history. They'll be removed from the log history. They'll be completely wiped off from the log history, right? So what happens, either they are no more in the log history, commit ID is no more. Means changes happen in those commits will be gone, as well as those commit IDs will also be wiped off. So when do you use this reset? Like I said, very rarely. Maybe, like I said, developers, okay, they are very sure that whatever changes they have made from past 1 week, the requirement was totally modified. They don't need them anymore. When you don't need the requirement totally, there is no point of maintaining that in the log, correct? So in that case, they may do this reset, right? So this is the difference between reset and revert. Revert is always safe method of doing it. Reset can be used, like I said, the scenario, if you just sure you just want to get rid of certain bunch of commit IDs which you have done from past 1 week or so, requirement was completely modified, then you may go for reset. Because see, when those changes are no more needed, there's no point of maintaining the log for them as well. So that's where you go for reset. And remember one thing, we were still on local repositories. We didn't go to remote repositories. We'll do that. So now, yeah, let us remove them. I mean, let us do this reset. And again, there are different types of resets. You need not go to that extent of the resets, but I'll also talk about it. First, let me do this. Git reset hard. There are different types of reset. Git reset hard. You can do this way. Head -1 or -2 means first 2 successive commit IDs will be wiped off, and this becomes the head pointer. Means your head will be pointing this commit after you do reset. Let me show you. Run the command. See, head is now at 096, and if you check the log, yes, whatever commits you have done here were all gone and they are completely wiped off. This is one way to do reset hard. Another method is git reset hard. You may just put head successive 6 commits or 7 commits, or else whichever you want to have the topmost commit. Let's suppose I just want only these 2 commits. This should be the topmost commit ID after reset. Head should be pointing here. In that case, you can do head -1, 2, sorry, this one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So head -6, or else put the commit ID which becomes the head. So reset means it will reset the head pointer. Now that's another way to do it. Both does the same. See, only 2 commits. Rest of all the commits were gone. All the changes were also gone. See here, in the first 2 commits, I just made 2 files. That's all. You can read the content of the file. See, only a single line which we made as an initial commits. Got the concept of reset? And when you do reset, the changes made were completely removed from the entire working directory, staging area and local repository. And you cannot undo them. You cannot get those changes back. Clear with this, all of you? Understood or any questions?
Yeah, good to go.
All right. See, there are also different types of resets. We did not get into that extent, but let me tell you, it's like a hard reset, soft reset, mixed reset. And see, this is an advanced concept. If you are like you as developer, if you are using this rigorously with a huge number of huge team of developers, you may need it. We don't generally use it, but let me give you an idea of different types of resets, because when you see the new command, you should not be confused. So let me give an idea. And like I said, it's a complex and a confusing topic, but this chart will simplify the things for you. Let me show you how can you analyze different types of resets. Working directory, staging area, local repository. When you do hard reset, changes will be removed from everywhere. So changes gone are gone forever. When you see the status, it will show like working tree is clean. But when you do soft reset, changes will be gone from local, means they'll be removed from local repository. You still have changes here. Means, yeah, you can get them back. What would be the status message after soft reset? Can anyone tell me? My question is, okay, I have done soft reset. Means command is same. Instead of hard, you put soft. If I do soft reset, changes will be removed from local repository. They'll be still there in working area and staging area. At that point, if you do status, what will be the status message showing us? What will be the message of status command?
Untracked files.
Right.
Staged.
It is staged.
See, your changes are here. You want to get them here, means what should you do? If I want to get them
commit.
back to local,
Commit.
commit. You should commit, then you get your change. Means what would be the message in that case?
It was in unstaged, but sorry, it was staged, but not tracking.
Changes committed, isn't it? It says
Yes.
like changes to be committed. They are staged changes, right? So yesterday we have analyzed the status message multiple times with different scenarios. Once again go through it. Okay, watch it and get a more understanding on the status. Okay, so suppose mixer means it will be deleted from here, but will be there. Now in that case, what would be the status message?
Untracked.
Maybe untracked, right? Or else if it is a modification, means files are already there, but we have deleted from here because, so it will show you only untracked, right? Again, if you want to get them, add it, commit it, right? So you can get the changes back, but this is very destructive. Changes will be gone completely. So this chart will help you analyze the differences between them. You don't need them, but if you are interested, out of your interest, you can try this as a homework or assignment. Like after the class, just you can try soft and mix and see like what I have explained, whether you are seeing the same or not. Okay, just try them from your end if you want to explore this, right? But this chart at any point of time as you go by, if you just want to refer this, it will help you understand this concept clearly. So that's about the reset. So we have seen reverting, reset. Now comes another important and the most widely used concept, branching. Shall we proceed? Before we go, any questions in this part? Shall we go ahead?
I have
with
a
the branch?
question. What happens if you are reverting some middle commit ID?
You can undo. Revert can undo any particular commit ID. You can undo that. And what happens is, suppose you have any dependent commit on the previous one. It will also give you the steps what you want to do. Means suppose if you are reverting any particular random commit ID. Okay, if it is dependent on the previous ones, like suppose if you undo, the file might be modified or something. It will give you the steps of whether you want to delete the file or else. You can go through, you can run those commands and revert it completely if you want. Or else if you just don't want, it will show you both whether you want to continue the revert or if you want to undo it. Means if you want to reverse it back. Okay, but you can undo any particular commit ID.
So the lateral changes will be still remain as it is, isn't it?
That depends. That depends. Means see, this is a commit history. You are reverting this. Okay, let's say there's a new file. You don't have any dependencies. It will directly revert. Suppose there are uphead commits. Means upfront commits are there which are dependent on this. It will give you the commands like whether you want to delete this from staging area or else whether you want to proceed. So it will give you the steps of what, like how you want to proceed. It will ask you. Accordingly, you can run the commands and revert it. Got it? Just once try from your end, once try reverting any random commit from your end and let me know. Right? Just once give it a try from your end.
Ma'am, I have one question.
Yes, please.
Like Git, we use Git stash command also frequently, but how does it work it actually?
We'll do that. We'll discuss stash also. Okay, we'll learn that.
Okay.
We'll go step by step. Okay, we'll come to stash part also.
You said when we're creating repository, so first we need to just do git init. Okay, then only it will create dot git. That only we call as the repository, local repository. But what happens? Let's say I am just copying from some repository in that branch.
Like git
So
clone, you are copying from
yeah,
remote, right?
git clone. Yeah. So in that case also it will create dot git.
Whenever you do git clone is nothing but copying from remote repository and creating a local repository. So whenever you do git clone, automatically .git will be created. Yesterday, if you are available in the yesterday's class, yesterday I have shown you two scenarios. One is you can create local repository by git init. Means manually you can create an empty local repository, or else in any directory is there where you have your project files, go there and git init, you'll get a local repository. Another use case is you can create local repository by copying from remote. In yesterday's class we discussed this. So you are talking about this use case where you will do git clone. Whenever you do git clone, complete repository will be copied, including, like means you'll have a local repository created with a .git in it. Okay, we'll execute this scenario also. I have started with this scenario, and we'll also see how do you copy and create a local repository with the git clone. Got it, Rahul?
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll execute this scenario also. This scenario we have started yesterday. Right. And also what happens is whenever you do git clone, that particular origin will be mapped to this local. We'll discuss that. Okay, step by step we'll go to that part. Yeah. Coming here, till now we were making lot many changes, so many files were created, and when you do git status, it says like on branch master. Means like it was saying on branch master. What is this branch master, right? Let us talk about this. This branching feature is very, very important in the version control system, which helps you in reality to manage your code base or to manage your projects effectively, right? And Git, particularly if you talk about Git has got a very enhanced branching features, branching strategies, so that you can use them effectively. So let us see how this works actually. Let me take a very simple example. See, till now we made some changes, right? Of course, so many changes, so many files, all of them are by default set to be on master branch. Okay, means imagine master branch is like a virtual directory. Means for your understanding, just imagine it's some like virtual folder in your local repository. So here I have created some file 1, Okay, some file. Okay, perfect. I'm working on it. Let's say this is a functional requirement 1 given by the client. We are making modifications on it. Perfect. So then came another requirement from the client, functional requirement 2. The requirement is different, but I need to modify again the same files. Okay, fine. I'm doing in the same master branch, means in the same directory. I'm just making the changes. And let's suppose after a month, I want to just see the changes of requirement 2. Is that possible? Means your changes gets messed up, right? You cannot differentiate or distinguish between the both the changes. And another thing is master branch should be a production branch, means it should be always stable and ready for production release. Okay, you cannot just put all of them in the master and mess up or corrupt this master branch. And another reason is maybe this requirement is for December release. This is for Feb release. Release means you have to push this to remote for December. You have to release it to the end users on December. But this is for next release. But whenever you are pushing the branch, all the changes you will be pushing to remote. But how do you achieve this? How can you achieve different releases? Means how can we achieve different releases? How can we have a production ready branch always? Right? Also, I want to maintain different versions or else different releases, or else sometimes say there are different branching strategies implemented in the projects. Which kind of branching strategy depends on the application, depends on how developers design or how we as a DevOps person design. So we may maintain a separate branch for each release, and we put master always as a production ready branch. We don't mess up that, so that the application will be always stable. And maybe I want to assign for different environments like staging environment, I want a separate branch for test environment and so on. Because see, if it is a test branch, you just need to build the application, test it. You don't need to deploy test branch, correct? You may test here, again merge it to production branch, which is a master branch. Okay, we'll talk about them later. First, let us understand the technically what is the concept of branch. Use cases we'll discuss. So branching purpose could be to maintain different versions or else different releases of the code. Okay, or else let's say you want to assign a separate branch for each environment. You want to allow features. Let's suppose there might be some new feature developed. Okay, rather than messing up the same master branch with this new feature, okay, I may just, rather than messing up this, what we can do, we can create a branch from this master. Means branch from this master means another directory or a folder which is a copy of this. Okay, let's say the name is B1 branch, which is a copy of it. Like again, it will have file 1, file 2, whatever master have, that will be copied. But now for this new feature, I'll work here. Okay, whereas this is the existing one, all the existing application, production ready application is here. Rather than making changes and mess up this, create a separate branch for the feature. And also you can push this separately. Not only feature, let's suppose there were so many bugs. For bug fixing, you may create again a separate branch. Fix all the bugs here, push this so that you can deploy it into production. The fix can be deployed, right? So this is how branching can be used. Means branch means it's like a copy of the existing branch. You can just create a copy. They were same only till you make a copy. From now onwards, it just works like a parallel entity. Means see, after creating a branch, whatever changes you make here will not be visible to master and vice versa. Means parallel development. You can allow parallel development. Maybe each separate feature can be allocated with a separate branch, or else there might be some bug fixes, some quick fixes, which you can create a separate branch, right? Just don't mess up this branch with all the changes here, right? You just keep master separate, uninterrupted, or else no changes, only the complete tested changes will be there, right? And what we do,
Where does this branch sits? Is it under working directory or local repository?
local repository level. Means
Okay.
your branches are, imagine they are like folders under your local repository. I'll show you. Let me finish this explanation. So this is a copy of it, right? B1 is a copy of this, and you're making changes here. And now there are, you can maintain branches in two ways. You may maintain this branch as a permanent branch, or else maybe like a kind of draft. Means suppose, okay, I have some requirement, I don't want to mess up this, so I may develop the code, I may make the modifications. Once they were done, I may merge it into this master, okay, and then delete this branch. Like a draft purpose I have used. That's one use case. Another scenario, another use case might be, yes, I want this as a separate release, like I just want it for Feb release. So I may maintain this branch separately, push this to remote separately, right? So your branches can be for permanent purpose. You may maintain them permanently for different environments or different releases, right? Or else you may just use it like a draft, then merge it to master, then push the master to it, right? So these are the scenarios how branching can help you. And see, this is
Ma'am, this
your, mm,
permanent one I didn't understand. Like one draft is like we make some changes and we merge to master. So that I got. But like the second one you told like we take it as a release. So can you explain
I'm
that
not
part?
matching it to master. Okay, means let's suppose it's a test branch. Okay, I don't want to message into the master branch, which is the production one. Once this test branch is tested, like once the test case are executed here thoroughly, then only we may be pushing it to master. Or else sometimes that could be a release branch, means it's a separate release. We are not going to put it into production now. In February, we just want to do it. So you may just maintain this branch permanently as a separate one. Also, like in reality, your
Hmm.
master branch, dev branch, test branches may be there. Suppose you have some code changes here. Okay, you execute, you run the test cases here. And if it is doing good, if this is working fine, you can merge it to master. But you don't need to deploy this particular branch. As we go by, we are going to create CI/CD pipeline. And whenever you create CI/CD pipeline, we may be creating this pipeline for every branch. Every branch means development branch, test branch, let's say master branch you have. Master is for production. Development branch can be, means the code here can be used to build the application. If it is doing good, okay, you may be creating a new branch from a test branch, also run the test cases here. Once it is doing good, you don't need to maybe deploy it to directly. You can just merge those code changes into master branch. When we start our pipeline, I'll elaborate this, but just understand branches are like a parallel entities to manage your repositories effectively, to maintain different versions, different releases, like maybe new features, or else to allocate a branch for each environment, you can create this branches. And you may, if you don't want the branch anymore, you can delete the branches as well after merging it to some other branch.
Okay, can you hear me, Preeti?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so you were saying that for the separate release, we don't need to, merge the branch to the master one, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so in that case, the data of the separate release is won't be there in master, right? So after completing the separate release, is it possible to get the data from the master? Because there is no data if, I mean, we do not say,
Already master branch will have the existing code. Already application is there in master branch. Code is there in master branch. This is just a new version which we want to test and which we want to release it separately. So you just release it separately and then test it. If it is doing good, later on you may merge it to master. Or else you may sometimes your release branches or a new features may be going for testing for 6 months or so. Until then you don't put on to production. So you have to maintain this branch for longer duration, right?
got it. Okay.
And see, I'll show you creating a branches so that any other questions should be clear. See, to see all the branches, git branch. It will list all the branches. As of now, this master branch is there by default. It's a default branch or the main branch. Okay. So whatever files you have, whatever commits you have, or all of them are on master branch. Tell me please. Someone is saying something? Anyone? Okay. So now this master branch is having 2 files and 2 commits. Let's suppose I want to work on some bug fixes, or else I just want to work on some new feature. I don't want to interrupt or mess up this one. So what I can do, I can create a branch from this. How to create a branch? Git branch minus
Branch
b.
name.
The new branch name is b1 and the parent branch name is master. So what it will do, I'll get a new branch called b1, which will get everything from this master branch. Means it's a copy of master. Let me show you. Sorry. Simply git branch b1 and master. So branch is created. You can check here, git branch. See, b1 is created, but you can see here asterisk star, right? This asterisk symbol indicates on which branch you are in. See here, of course b1 is created, but still I am on master branch. Means you just send it. Hello. Git branch master, right? You are on the master branch. If you want to go to b1 branch, let's suppose I just want to go to b1 and check what is there. Git checkout b1. That's how you switch the branch. Okay, now it says switch to b1, and here also you can see that. And also when you do git branch, see now the asterisk is on b1, means we are on b1 branch. Okay, perfect. We are on b1 branch. Now whatever commands you run now are set to be on b1. Means I'm doing ls, that is on b1. I'm checking the git ls files. So git ls files on b1, or else I'm checking the log also of b1, right? So whatever commands you run, they are all set to be on b1 branch. Okay, there are 2 files. Let's suppose I want to create a new file on b1. Like you didn't on master, the same way, everything is same. Now I'll create some file here. Let's say file3.txt. Okay, now let's suppose this is a file created on b1. Okay, let us save this. File created on b1. I just created the file. Now see ls and git status. See on branch b1. Again the same concept. Untracked file. So what should we do? What should we do now?
Add, madam.
That's all. Like any other branch, git add the file. Now the status will ask me to commit. So git
Minus
commit
M.
let's say new file on b1 branch, something like that. Done. So now if you see here, 3 files and 3 commits. Okay, perfect. Let's suppose I want to work on some new functionality. I have created it. And now let's suppose I just want to check now on master. Now my question is this third file, is this third commit available on master branch? Do you think they'll
Yes.
be present on?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
They are available on master branch. Will they be present on master branch? File 3. My question is file 3. File
No,
3.
it will
No,
No, no,
no,
no.
no.
Until we merged.
Maybe I said file 1. Sorry. So file 3. Okay, let us check it out. Git checkout master. That's how you switch the branch. Now see, I'm on master. Do we have this file 3? Obviously, no. We don't have this. New
File
commit.
3.
Right? Third file is not there. Third commit is also Means they work like parallel entities. Branching helps you implement parallel development. Means you could be working on multiple requirements, multiple modules. Let's suppose application has got different modules. So it allows parallel development. It allows parallel releases and so on. Now, I don't have this. Let us suppose, okay, B1, I just want to develop there without messing up this. Now, okay, my code is ready. I want to get the changes from B1 to master. What is that called as? Please keep muted if you don't have any questions. I'm having some background noise. If you have question, unmute please. I want to get the changes from B1 to master. This is called integrating changes from one branch to another. What is this called as? Integrating changes from one branch to another. Merge, right? I want to merge the changes from B1 to master. Here, let's say because master is the main branch, I have used B1 as a graph. Let's say now I'm done with the changes there. I want to bring the changes. I want to integrate the changes from B1 to. So the merge command syntax is git merge B1 means git merge source branch and the destination branch. So let us git merge the source branch is B1, destination is master. Right? So let us run this git merge B1 and master. Can you see that? Updating the changes, created this file 3 in master. See, now you got the changes, you got the file, also you get the log of master.
Ma'am,
See,
hello.
if I want to
Hello.
get the log, even yes, 1 second, please. 1 second, I'll take up your question. 1 minute. If you want, I'm on master. If you want to check the log of any other branch here, put the branch name. Git log one line B1. So even though you are on master branch, it will show you the log of B1. That's a simple way of branching and merging. There are also scenarios where you get a conflict. Before going to that part, yes, please put your questions, Virupakshi and everyone. Yes, please.
Already we are in master branch. Is it to mention the destination branch over there? Git merge source and destination.
This one, when you are already on the destination branch, this is optional.
Yeah.
Where's the command?
Git merge.
This one, yeah. This is optional if you are already there on master branch. But certain versions of Git, certain, let me finish. Certain versions of Git on certain operating system, mentioning the destination branch would be mandatory. Okay, so yeah, someone else is talking. Tell me, please.
So, ma'am, this everything is happening still locally, right? We are not doing anything on remote, right?
Still local. We didn't go to remote it. Actually, the real purpose of branching comes into picture when you go to remote, like when you deploy and all. I will discuss that also. We didn't go to remote it. If you remember, just once again recollect the architecture of Git we discussed yesterday. Remember this architectural diagram throughout. We were still on this local repository only. We didn't go to remote it. We are here. We didn't go to remote. Means whatever changes I'm making were confined only for myself. We didn't go to remote. We'll go to that. We'll do remote also. But before going through to remote, there are many other things we'll learn. Okay, like the stash, rebase, again merge with the conflicts. Of course, we'll see conflicts on remote also. Those also will cover. Got it, all of you? The small, simple branching concept, simple branch and the simple merging without any conflicts. Shall we take up another scenario with a conflict or any more questions in this part?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So this is how we have seen simple branching and merging. Now let us take up a bit complex or else a much more realistic scenario where you may see the conflicts. Let's do one thing. I'm on master branch, right? I'm creating a file called file4.txt. A new file created on master branch in local repository. You may write some programs if you are interested. Just have some content here. Okay, done. Now we know what to do. I'm just executing add and commit. Git commit -m file created on master. Okay, done. Perfect. Now I have the fourth file. Obviously, I'll also have the fourth commit. Okay, done. Now, okay, I'm working on master, means parallel development is happening here. We are working for one module. For B1, I'm working on another module. Let's say I just want to go and work on B1. So switch it, git checkout B1. Okay, I'm on B1. So obviously I'll not have this fourth file or fourth commit. Okay, perfect. Now I have to write some functionality, some changes, some config changes if you're a DevOps person. Okay, what I'll do, I'll just create a new file. Maybe here also I need the same file. Okay, I'm not bothered about whether it is there on other branch or not. I'm just creating this file. Now this is a file created on local B1 branch. Okay, let me save this. Okay, now here we have to add this anyway. Add this file, commit this, git commit -m on let's say on B1 branch, something like that. Okay, done. Now I have this file. Okay, I will also have a new commit. B1 done. Okay, fine. I'm done with my changes on B1. I just want to merge it to master. Maybe I just want to integrate them to master. Let's go to master branch. Git checkout master. Okay, now here I have a bunch of files, like a couple of files were there. Now I want to merge. What is the command? Can you help me with?
Git merge B1 to master.
Okay.
Git
So what
merge
happens?
branch name. Source.
Will it merge successfully? What happens?
There will be a conflict errors because in the master branch there is a file one.
Okay, there will be a
The,
conflict, but why
yeah,
we get a conflict? What is the reason for conflict?
because the file
Like already
2
we merged
already.
a node before.
File 4 is already in B, I think, in master, right?
Okay, okay.
File
See
And
4.
here,
they were the changes has been made in the same file. Maybe.
okay, okay. See, conflict is there, merge conflict, automatic merge failed, auto merging failed on 5.4 means automatically it cannot merge. See, here we were talking about a conflict, right? Here, this is my local repository. Means I got conflict within my repository itself, within my changes. Similarly, you will also get conflict from other persons in the team. That also I'll show you tomorrow on remote. But you may be getting a conflict within your local repository or with some others on the remote repository, because same person may be modifying the same file, right? So you may get a conflict. But here, see here, in the day one of Git we have discussed, right? Git will not allow overwriting. Git will not at the same time ignore the changes. Here what happened, Git doesn't know what to change, means what changes to keep, what changes to ignore. Hence, it shows us a conflict. So Git is after all a tool, right? It's not a person who creates them, or he's not a developer or DevOps guy. He doesn't know which changes to keep. As a person who created them, you should resolve, you should fix it. But it is informing you this way. On the day one we discussed, right? When you are working, when developers are working on the same file, there might be a conflict. It will not overwrite. At the same time, it will also not ignore, but it will inform you this way. Now, as a DevOps person or else as a person who created them, you have to fix it. Similarly, I am going to push this to remote. There also I may get a conflict with some other person. Okay, there those developers will sit together and fix it. How to fix it, we'll see later. First, let us analyze why you got this conflict. Like so many of you said, same file. Same file is correct to some extent, but not completely, because same file true, but it's not only the same file. If it is only, sometimes even though it's the same file, you don't get a conflict. Interesting, isn't it? So you should understand what is happening at the backend actually. So let's see what happens at the backend thoroughly to understand why and when you get a conflict. So let me explain the scenario here. Tell me please. Lot of background noise. Please keep muted. If you have a question, unmute. Otherwise, please keep muted. See here, let me explain the scenario. Like we have a master branch, right? What are the steps we have done? Let's see. On the master branch, I have created this file 4, correct? And made a commit called A. Isn't it? That's what we did. Then we have a B1 branch. Okay, we have master and B1 and we have created file 4 and made some commit A. Is this commit available on B1 branch? Is this commit available on B1 branch?
No.
No, obviously no, because we made file 4 here, made a commit here. Then
But
second
you
step,
earlier
what
said
we
that.
did? Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. You earlier said that, I mean, B1 likewise, if we separate any of the branches, so all the data that present in master branch is automatically present in the another branch, right?
At the point, at the time you create a branch, it is available. After creating B1, I went to master and created this file. In that case, you will not have those changes, right? We just have seen that also. When you at the point of creating a branch, it's a copy. Later on, both are two parallel entities. Whatever changes you make here are not available on B1 and vice versa, isn't it?
Okay. Okay, got it.
We just seen that, right? We just created file 3 on B1. It is not there on master. That's why we merge. Similarly, we went to B master. We created file 4. It's also not available on B1, right? So what we did, I'm just writing here. We have created file 4 here. There's a commit here. It's not available on B1. Now we went to B1 branch. Here also I have created file 4, created another commit, let's say commit B. Is this commit available on master?
No.
No, in file
No.
B only available.
Definitely no. And unless you merge,
B1
no.
branch only.
Obviously no. Right? Okay, fine. Now check the, now what I want to do the merge. Merge from B1 to master means here the source is B1. The destination is master. Correct? So I want to integrate changes from the source to destination. Okay, fine. The actual meaning of merge is you will get the changes from source to master. Means integrate, get the changes from B1 to master. Okay, that's the actual meaning of merge. Now see the log of file 4 here. Means you can check the log of each file also. If you check the log of file 4, here the snapshot or else the log, the commit history, log of file 4 is simply commit B. Agree with this all of you? Yeah? Please respond, understood or not. I'm talking about log of file 4 here is only this commit B. And here the log of file 4 is commit A. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Now I want to bring the changes to this. Means this B should come and sit here. That is the meaning of merge, right? This should come and sit here. Means should it override commit A? Or else because here commit A is there, should we ignore these changes? Git will not do either of them. It cannot override. It cannot ignore. and it doesn't know which changes to keep, and hence you got a conflict. Means the whole point, the whole concept is source branch is missing some commits which are there on destination. Missing commits that are there on destination. That are there on destination branch. Means let's suppose your B1 branch, same file 4 is there. Like some of the participants sometime back asked, when you make a branch, obviously this will be there. Let's take a file 1. File 1 is there when you make a branch. Commit A of file 1 is there in here also. Suppose now you modified file 1, made a commit B. So the commit history is A, B here. Here only A. In that case, when you merge, you don't have a problem. A and B comments it here. You don't get a conflict. Means it's not just simply same file name, same file, but along with the same file, source branch is missing some commits that are there on destination. Then you get this conflict. Should I repeat it?
Yeah, please.
See here, I'm repeating once again. You have a file 4 I have created. See, already branches are created. They were working as 2 parallel entities. Then I have file 4 with some commit. Then again I created here file 4 with B. But whatever commit I have for file 4, it's not there on B1 branch. Am I correct? Right. So the log
Yes.
of file 4 is simply commit B. Here the log of file 4 is simply A. Now bring the changes from B1 to master. So only B should come and sit here. Means you are overwriting A, or else you want to ignore it. Git doesn't know whether to overwrite or whether to ignore. Git will not do both of them. If Git has to overwrite or ignore, no point of using Git or any version control system. So it is telling you through a conflict. It is telling you this is the scenario, which changes should we keep. You have to fix the conflict. You have to decide as a person who created those files. Right? And why are you getting this? Because your source branch is not having this commit A. Suppose if source branch has got this commit A, you might not have seen any conflict. Got it, everyone? Understood?
Yep.
Yes.
Purushottam, Pradeep, Naveen, all of you, Mohit, can you just confirm me in the chat window also you can respond
Yes.
clear or
Yep.
see generally we think that okay we get a conflict same file name. But notice one thing, replicate the same scenario with the file 1. File 1 means it is there when you created a branch. Means when you created a branch, you have this already. So when I got a branch, I got all the commits of this. Now on this source, come to this B1. Okay, modify this file 1. Make a new commit. Now the commit history is this. Here only this. Perfect. If you merge, you don't get a conflict because source is not missing any commits, whichever on this. You don't get a conflict even though file name is same. Right? So this is the actual concept that happens at the backend and the reason for conflict. Same file name and your source is missing some comments. Git always works with respect to the changes. Right?
Yep. Can you go to the get and resolve that issue over there?
We'll do that. Once if this is clear for all of you, I will also do that. Okay. Once you understand the reason for conflict, why you get it, let's see how to resolve the conflict. So Git is after all a tool. It cannot make a decision. So we should resolve it. So how do you resolve it? Open the file in this editor. Like open your file. See how to use editors. There are very good editors which will help you resolve your conflicts. And also in real time, if your files are very huge, there are some add-ons like Git diff tool, merge tool, or else editors can also help you resolve them very easily. In our course, we'll be using some editor like Visual Studio Code. We'll look into that as we progress. So just now launch it in the Swim editor. See here, head. The content of the current branch is shown under head. and the content from B1 is shown like this with the B1 branch. Now you can edit the file, remove all these unnecessary headers. Okay, these were all added as you got a conflict. Where is the pointer? Okay. So remove all the unnecessary headers and you decide whether you want to keep both the lines from B1 on master or whether you want to delete. You just edit like how you want it to be. You are a decision maker. This is my local repository. So just make this. I just want both of the lines. So save it. Done. Whenever you make a modification in Git, what you should do? Whenever you modify Git, what should we do?
Adding result is
Yeah, add and commit.
Commit it. Like say resolve them. That's resolving. Right now, if you check the content of file 4, that's all. Conflict is resolved. Similarly, we may get a conflict on remote with some other person. There also the process is same, but you developers or else the persons with whom you got a conflict will sit together, discuss and decide which changes to keep and save the changes this way.
Okay, now we have merged it on the master branch.
In the coming of classes.
Sorry, Preeti, now we have merged it on the master branch. What happened to the file 4 in the B1 branch? Will it remain same or will it also get modified?
Tell me, you tell me what happens. What do you think will happen? Anyone? What will be the content of
it will be the
file 4?
same.
Be modified.
It will be modified with the new changes.
Okay, go to B1. It will not be changed. We are just merging and resolving the conflict on master. B1 will not be affected, right? We are getting changes from source to destination. Source will not be affected. Only the destination branch will be affected. Okay? That's how it happens, right? You are merging means from source to destination. So destination is the branch which will be affected. It will have its own content. That's all. Am I clear now? Understood the concept thoroughly, all of you? See, these are all advanced concepts. If you are new, practice them once or twice. Okay, understand them thoroughly. That's how you can master the tool. And tomorrow we'll be having some stash, rebase, and there were a few more concepts before we go for remote repositories. On remote repositories also, like how do you resolve the conflicts and how do you work on, we'll look into that.
Preeti, what is this cat actually? Cat.
Okay, cat is to check the content of the file. If you want to check the content, you may just go here and open this like this, right? Instead of that, from the command line, you can use cat command to read the content, to check the content of
Cat will display the content of the file without opening the file on the UI edit.
From the command line, you cannot open by double clicking, right? This is now, it will show you. Yeah, without Vim editor, without opening it, it will show you the content of the file. Correct.
Ma'am, I have one question.
Tell me, please. Tell me.
Ma'am, we create a branch by using git branch and branch name, and from where we want to create. So we have one command like git checkout as well, that also creates a branch. So what is the difference between these two?
Git checkout -b also will create the branch, but it will also switch to the new branch created. Means?
Yeah, okay, both the applications, okay.
Both are same. Git checkout -b B1 master means it will create B1 and it will switch to B1. Whereas git branch B1 master means it will just create this, but it will not switch to it. Later on, you can switch it. Anything is same.
Regarding this conflict message, right? One quick question. So if we are creating a branch from a master, and then if we edit it and then retry to merge it, this conflict will not arise, right? So so in master I have file 1, I create a branch with moving all this file 1 to branch.
Yes.
I edit it and then I try to merge it. In that instance, this conflict will not arise, right?
Yes, see here, you are talking about this. File 1 is there. Okay, now it has commit A because I made a branch at this point. Okay, I have file 1 also A. Now I modify this file 1, make B. Okay, now if I merge, because A, B are here, A is there, no conflict. Okay, right? Is this you're talking about, right? Correct, no conflict.
Okay.
But see here, file 1 is there. Okay, file 1 commit A is there. Okay, then this is same when I created a branch. Later, I have modified this. Okay, now this is not here. Again, I modified this here. Now, if I merge, will I get a conflict or not?
Yeah.
Definitely
Yes, I
there'll be
will get conflict.
We'll get a conflict because source is missing B comment. Okay, source is missing this, you'll get a conflict. Got the whole concept, I believe. Yeah, you got the point here. So that's the reason for conflict. If you get a source, it means if a source is missing some commits, it could be a new file or the same file. This is the whole point. All right then, we'll close here. Do the
Ma'am,
complete
this merge
answer.
conflict cannot.
Tell me please. Sorry, tell me.
Ma'am, this
Hello?
merge conflict cannot be avoided completely, right? Hello?
See, merge conflict is good
Ma'am,
to
this
have.
merge conflict.
It is good to have. Why you should
Yeah.
avoid it? We should not. It's good to have. That's how it is telling. It's not overwriting. It's not ignoring. It is telling you, okay, this is happening. You take care of it. Okay, we should not avoid it. It's always good to have conflicts. That's how overwriting, even though persons are working on the same file, that's how you eliminate overwriting and ignoring. Okay, so it's always good to have. It's no point in avoiding them. Okay, and see this resolving, like you might be seeing this, we resolve this way, right? You just open the file and did it. Maybe in real time there might be hundreds of lines, correct? So you need not do it in a Vim editor. Okay, there are very good editors like this, Visual Studio Code, to modify the files. They'll also give you so many options to resolve the conflicts and all. Okay, it means you can see both the changes side by side clearly. This is just some editor. We'll be using this a lot in our course in the coming up sessions to write some YAML files, config files, Jenkins files, and so on. Okay, it will show you so many options to resolve it. For now also, today also, you might have used this. This is some additional part. Shall I show you? Yeah. If you are interested, you can manage these files rather than Vim editor. Okay, from the command line, or else rather than going like this, you can install this Visual Studio Code. See, don't get confused and don't get worried about what is all this. This is just an editor, an IDE, or else an editor. Like you have Notepad++, but a very good editor which can help you when you are writing some YAML files, Terraform config files. It will help you with syntax highlighting and all. So what you can do, go here, open the folder. What is our folder name? Do you remember? Git demo. Open it. Okay, so Git demo is here. Do you see that? All the files. And another thing is, go to terminal. Launch your terminal. Here your PowerShell launches by default. Just select it. Git bash. Your Git bash can be used from here as well. Like I am using like this, you can also use it. See here it clearly shows you B1. Let me do one thing. Git checkout master. Okay, it just switches to master. Let me create some file here. Okay, I just want to create a file in master, right? You may just do from here also. New file, let's say file 5, sorry, file 5.txt. Okay, file 5.txt is there. Let's say new file. Okay, that's all. Save it. See, unstaged files will be shown with a U symbol. Okay, those are all self-explanatory. Once you use editor, you can observe them. But Yeah, you can start using it from this point also. For dummy files also, you can start using this editor, so that as in our course, as we progress, we are going to use editor for managing all the files. So you can start using it. Now, if you check the status, okay, you can see this way. And now let's suppose I want to just add this. Okay, and let's say comment this, git commit -m on master or something like that. Now I just want to go to, see, you are seeing file, U symbol gone because it is committed. Now I just want to go to the other branch, git checkout B1. See, B1 branch files will be shown here. So it will be very interesting to look into. You can also use this one, right? So I'll provide the link to download this Visual Studio Code. If you are new to this, you can download it from the link I provide and start using it. It will be very handy.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll close here and we'll continue tomorrow. And one more thing, please don't leave, just 2 minutes, please. Tomorrow onwards, everyone, please join the class from here. You are seeing this, right? You need not submit your name every time from tomorrow. Like November 15th is there, right? You just click on it and join, and tomorrow onwards it will ask you for a password. I'll provide you the password. Today I'll create a WhatsApp group and I'll share the password. You all can join from tomorrow. Sorry, not this one, I'm sorry. December 14th, 7 a.m. Okay, click this, enter the password and join. And any questions when you are doing hands-on, post it in the group.
Okay.
Sure, Jyotsna. I'll recheck once again. I have given the access to Drive. I'll check once again. Put your email ID on WhatsApp once again, Jyotsna. Send me your email ID. All right, then. See you all tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.